not only retraining, but training people to transition into this industry is the only way for us to bridge that gap because there are literally thousands of jobs going unfilled every day.
Mm.
So there's a great opportunity for us to start training up more people.
Welcome to Tech Intersect. I'm your host, Tanya Evans, and my life and work exist at the heart of law, business, and technology. Yeah, I've earned a few fancy titles and degrees over the years, but the bottom line is I'm a writer, speaker, teacher, and lifelong learner, and I'm really excited that you've joined me on this journey. So what is Tech Intersect? Well, it's authentic, empowering conversations with really interesting guests to demystify complex topics to prepare you for the future, because your future is now. And it exists where law, business, and tech intersect. Get ready to listen, learn, and leverage. Let's get started. Hey, everybody. In this episode of Tech Intersect, I welcome Juby Vilcius to the show. He's a managing partner at Yellowtail.tech, an organization that helps interested career seekers without an IT background actually get jobs in the industry. So basically, reskilling for the future of IT. I invited him on today to talk about the future of education in the IT pipeline that he's built to empower the next wave of IT specialists and why this just might be the perfect reskill opportunity for you. Before we get started, I have two important opportunities to share with my favorite listeners, that's you, that start in January of 2023. Yes, it is right around the corner, and I want us to start in an engaging and empowering way. First, I'm planning my very first in-person summit in January, so that's January 27th to 29th in San Juan, Puerto Rico. Basically, in speaking with club members and Advantage Evans students and alums, we've determined that what we all need right now is a reset, a reboot, an opportunity to reconnect with the course content and also with each other, especially in this bear market. So I've decided to teach my entire From Cash to Crypto Encore course content in a small group of highly motivated folks in one beautiful sun-soaked weekend. If this sounds like something you'd be interested in, act now to secure your seat. We're already about a third of the way full. The link is in the show notes. Let's go from cash to crypto together. Sun, surf, sand, and Satoshis? Listen, that sounds like a win to me. And two, here's an opportunity to stop leaving money on the table. And as my dear friend and millionaire maker Rachel Rodgers says in her book, We Should All Be Millionaires, start making money moves today. So Rachel and her company Hello7 are presenting the Make Money Moves Challenge, where you discover the unexpected money-generating strategies that produce the results you have been dreaming of. I've gone through it before. I'm going to do it again. I want you to join me during this 5-day challenge. Learn how to do what Rachel calls money-generating activities. And these are simple, powerful, and effective action steps that bring money in the door ASAPidly, like right now. Instead of wasting 40 hours a week doing busy work that doesn't even produce revenue, shift gears and spend 5 to 10 hours a week making money moves. Learn how to make money faster, more efficiently, and on demand, no matter what is happening in the economy, up, down, sideways. Listen, it won't matter. Join me and Rachel and Hello7 as we make money moves together in this challenge with the link in the show notes. Let's get this money, y'all. And if you're ready to grow, let's go. Okay, time to listen, learn, and leverage. Let's get started. In this episode of Tech Intersect, I am so very excited to welcome Juby Vilsius to the show. Juby is managing partner and co-founder at Yellowtail Tech, an organization that helps interested career seekers without an IT background actually get jobs in the industry. And I invited him on today to talk about the future of education in the IT pipeline that he's built in order to empower the next wave of IT specialists, and why this just might be the perfect upskill or reskill opportunity for you. We'll talk about all of that and more in a moment, but first, Juby, welcome.
Thank you, Tanya, for having me today. I'm very excited to be here.
Excellent. Why, you are an extremely patient man, the patience of Job, as I return to get this shoestring operation back up and running again. But I think particularly at this time of year, as people, and certainly given the seismic shift that we are experiencing in work, people are looking for an opportunity and something that may not have originally been on their radar. So often people, and particularly people of color and others who are systemically marginalized in tech, for example, have found it difficult to find their way or their lane and the support that they need. So I was really excited to learn about Yellowtail Tech and to hear about the service that you provide. Before we jump into the nuts and bolts of that, why don't you share with the listeners your background and what led you to Yellowtail Tech?
Yes. Well, I have a background in management information systems. I went to school for that at the University of Maryland. After graduating, it took me a little bit of time to actually find my way into the job market because I realized I had a degree, but I didn't have any specific skills to go sell to the marketplace. So I fortunately found a mentor, someone who actually introduced me to Linux, which is an operating system, enterprise level operating system, who trained me. And 6 months later, I had, on top of my very broad and generic degree, I had specific skills I could go and offer to the market. And I thanked him and I said, one day I will turn what you have here into something way bigger. And I will always make sure people know that you are my mentor and you showed me the way. So his name is Jonas Okwara.
That's powerful, and it reminds us all the power of mentorship. It speaks to just the way that people over time have learned a skill or a trade, and the mentorship, in addition to obviously content and education, but the idea of mentorship to lead you from point A to point B. I think it's kind of threefold. It's believing in them, believing in the vision of what you want to do, but ultimately believing in yourself. And I imagine as much as he imparted that into you is also what you impart to others as you're leading them now into information technology. So talk about Yellowtail Tech. So you went from there to this space and going from mentee to mentor and certainly co-founder. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, unlike a lot of startups, it wasn't a startup that had a business plan and then we went from day one and we started executing on a very specific and clear business plan. It was actually very different. My wife was transitioning away from social science. She's a social scientist. She was done with this. And I said, you know what? I can train you. I can do like my mentor did. I can help you transition into this IT career because she was very much interested in that. Mm-hmm. And as I'm doing that, as I'm pulling different resources to help friends that are better than me in the industry, to help support her into her transition, I'm like, I think we have something here. Mm-hmm. Because not only I helped her transition, we did that for friends, for family. And then it took us 2 years to actually not only to convince ourselves that we had a product, to refine that product and to put it to market. So it's not the typical startup where everything is, nice and neat in a box. And then we went to market and we had success. And the second, not mistake, the second thing it took me a few years to realize is that given the type of product I sell, we found that it would be obvious that it's people with some technical background that will come in and we will help them upskill to better and more lucrative jobs.
Mm.
But when we step back, we realize all the data showed us that it's people with no IT background that are taking the most advantage of what we're offering.
Interesting.
And we made a second epiphany and say, you know what? Let's now focus on the people who want this, who need this. And we started specifically designing products exclusively for people with no IT background, designing, iterating, and only focusing on people with no IT background. Not that we don't accept people with IT background in our program, but our program are specifically designed for someone with absolutely no IT background who's interested in transitioning. So we accompany you along the way. So that's really how it started and how it evolved into what it is.
So that is a really interesting point, and one of the more interesting points as I was doing my research in anticipation of our conversation, that it wasn't upskilling, but truly reskilling. You mentioned the word interested, but I know, seeing your website and your other materials, folks can't just be interested. They have to be dedicated. Talk to me about why that's important for you.
Yeah, because we are helping people transition, like you say, it's not upskilling. You have to be, well, let me put it this way. In order for you to have success in this, you have to really be in a position where you want to get out of it. It cannot be a nice to have. If it would be nice to be in an IT job to find something, it won't work for you. You have to have some pain. It has to be from a place where you absolutely want to get away from. So that's where the commitment piece comes in. You have to have something powerful, strong enough to actually push you to make that commitment to transition, because it's not easy. That's one thing I always say. We advertise, we sell that we can support you. We have a process. We have an apparatus that actually is figured out, but you have to bring in the commitment, because we don't sell easy. We sell doable, we sell possible, but it's not an easy process. And of course, nothing worth having either. No one would expect that it would be easy.
Right. No, that's a great point. And I had one related question, but as we were talking, it made me think that let's give people kind of a day in the life to even talk about what IT is. We think we know, if you work at a corporation and you have to get in touch with IT because something's going on with your computer or you received a phishing email. I don't know, but give folks an idea of what a day in the life is and what some of the general skill set and objectives for a role like this.
Yeah, well, let's talk about the stereotypes as well. So IT is a very broad field. So when you say IT, you say very little and a lot at the same time. So, for example, me specifically, we train people to be Linux system administrators and AWS cloud computing experts. So one thing I want to say is that now, especially from the transition that started in 2019 and to the pandemic, the environment is very different. You're going to be mostly with your computer. You're going to be working remotely, and it's not all glamorous. You're going to spending a lot of time in front of a screen alone is not necessarily very attractive for a lot of people. And secondly, the work you'll be doing vary completely from company to company. So some companies you're going to be mostly working on projects, but some other companies, they have different teams that just take care of ticketed system, things that are breaking that we need to fix. But a day in the life of a sysadmin, you start with first checking what's going on, understanding your system, because what your job is to manage hundreds and thousands of servers that are delivering real-time data to big companies. One thing it's stressful because you are working with data that are worth millions and sometimes billions of dollars. So it's something that's very rewarding, but somewhat stressful as well. and there is continuous learning. You never know enough because things are changing, things are evolving. So you are a lifelong student. And as you work, you are researching and getting better at your craft every day, which
Right.
is sometimes exciting for some people. But in general, it's spending time learning, implementing, and getting comfortable being with your computer. Because since 2020, we have not placed someone who had to go to the office.
Mm,
So it's a new world, it's a new reality. And I like to make sure I emphasize that because not everyone, it's not for everyone to be in a remote environment. It sounds cool when you can travel with your work,
right.
but also remember you will never be in an environment where you can hang out around the water cooler either.
Right.
So this concept, especially in IT, almost disappeared.
You love listening to podcasts, but have you ever thought about starting your own podcast? Maybe you want to build a brand, grow your business, or are looking for an excuse to talk about your favorite hobby. Whatever your reason for making a podcast, Buzzsprout is the place to start. Since 2009, Buzzsprout has helped over 300,000 people launch their own podcasts. Buzzsprout walks you step by step through the whole process and will give you powerful tools to start, grow, and monetize your podcast. Ready to get started? Click the link in the show notes to get our free step-by-step guide to starting your podcast today.
You are listening to the Tech Intersect podcast with Professor Tanya M. Evans. Powered by Advantage Evans. That's fascinating because I do think that people have the misconception that they are on site all the time, managing centralized databases, perhaps on site. I guess the nature of the redundancy in order to back up information means a lot of it probably shouldn't be where you actually work, maybe not
Yes,
all of it.
but don't forget, again, that's why I said the industry and the field is broad. There are people who are on site.
Right.
There are people who must be on site. But given what we train you to be, you will never have to interact directly with the servers you're managing.
I
Because
see.
there is what they call in IT for security logical access versus physical access.
I see.
So people who have the logical access shouldn't have the physical access as well. So people we train typically have the logical access to the server and the data on it, but doesn't have the physical access, and vice versa. And the people you're talking about who have to show up to work,
Mhm.
show up in the data center, do the physical work, they have no clue what type of data they are managing, and
Interesting.
it's for security purposes.
That makes a lot of sense. Thank you. I think that's going to help a lot of people. Definitely. And a light bulb just went off for me, so that's very helpful. All right. So we have someone who's ready to reskill. They are lifelong learners. They are highly focused and committed. They say, I have to get out of this job. I want to be a digital nomad. This looks like the place for me. They go to your website. Then what happens? What's the process of going from someone who shows up to the site to shows up virtually or in a cloud somewhere day one on their awesome six-figure job?
Yes, like you said, we've checked the box where they really can put in the work.
Yes, they're going to put in the work. Yes.
Did we check the box that they have the actual time, like physically have the time to do it?
Time. They actually just got laid off, so
All
that
right,
helps.
all right.
They are highly motivated.
Okay. I like this prospect already. That's an easy enrollment. The next thing would be for us to make sure you have the minimum computer literacy,
Mm,
because it doesn't matter how great or how ready you are, if you cannot move around a computer, the basic knowledge around a computer, I will not be able.
right.
So we have an assessment to actually, measure that. Once that's measured, we get you onboarded. Once that's measured and you where you're supposed to be, you of
Mhm.
course get enrolled and go through the tuition process. And then you decide which program fits you best, because we have two programs. But both programs, we always start you with IT infrastructure and networking. Basically, we don't train one trick ponies. We make sure you have the proper foundational knowledge on which to build. Because don't forget, we dedicate ourselves to train people with no IT background. So when you come, we assume you know nothing.
Right.
So we build you up properly with strong foundations. And like I said, depending on the direction you want to take, if you want to take cloud computing or if you want to take Linux system administration, we track you according to, how committed you are, because one is longer, one is more abstract than the other. So all that we help you assess. And the program itself can either be 6 months or 9 months, depending on which direction you go. So now we have each program, they have a capstone certification. Not a certification only given by Yamatel Tech, but an industry certification independent of us. It's like after you pass your nursing school, you go take the board exam.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's the same thing. And these fields, there are product certification that are very valuable. We make sure you get one, depending on the program you choose, which is the capstone. We have a 92% passing rate at that level. And then after that, after you pass your cert, we make sure you have access to an internship, because there is that catch-22. You need a job to get the experience. But wherever will you get that experience if you never have the job?
Right.
So we make sure we match you with that so you can have the hands-on. And then parallel, we have a dedicated career coach working with you to actually do mock interview, get your resume ready, get your LinkedIn where it's supposed to be, so you can get out in the market. So it's an end-to-end, very well thought out, very well designed program that's specifically intended for people with no IT background. We leave no stone unturned.
That's really, really fantastic. And I'm a tenured professor, and I've built online programs before. My previous law school, I created the first blockchain, crypto, and the law online certification or certificate program, not a certification, and putting the modules together and understanding what the curriculum should look like and what the support should look like, and the community, the onboarding, preparing folks, and then supporting them afterwards was a real lesson, to be sure. It's not just showing up and delivering some modules and recording a few videos and good luck.
That's the easy part.
Right. Isn't that literally the easy part, right? Just being the talent, right? But you're part of the brains of this operation too. One of the other things that I find extremely admirable is the diversity of your team. Talk to me about why that's obviously a core tenet of what you've built as a founder as well.
Well, first, I'm a minority myself. My wife is a double minority, even a triple maybe, female, Latina, and I'm a minority, I'm Black. So we wanted the company to reflect that. So that's why you're going to see we have employees that represent so many different cultures. Our student body is very, very diverse. We take pride in that. And I think also because I'm a very present managing partner, people tend to see themselves in the founder. So I naturally attract people who look like me.
Right.
And I think also it's a good thing because there are not many people that look like me who is in this space delivering the kind of services we are delivering. So I make it a point to actually attract more minorities and keep the offering very diverse and available to anyone.
When you think about the future of work, well, let me ask it this way. You think of, it's kind of a buzz phrase. I use it a lot on the show because the future of work and wealth and creativity. But when you think of this ever-changing environment, when you think of the next iteration of the internet, when you think of more, if it pans out, we shall see, a more decentralized version of what currently exists, how does information technology and training people to be present for the next wave of the internet and wherever technology is going, what does it look like What does it look like from your point of view?
From my point of view, I think we're already seeing it. Although we want things to be distributed, to be asynchronous, but a hybrid format is coming back. I don't know if you realize that. The human factor, the lecture portion, the human interaction is going to come back. And I think from what I see is here to stay because having a program, and we tested both ways,
right,
where we have a hybrid format where you do some work on your own, but you show up and you are in a community where you can see people, you can interact with people.
right.
It's very important for the learning itself, or community building. So that's one thing I see that's going to change in the next 5 to 10 years is that despite the fact that we're going to have all that technology, the human aspect of it is going to show itself to being very important. So we're going to have to bring it back because this is what's happening to my competitors. Yes, these platforms, they have great content, they deliver great content, but when it comes to actually train people and support people from A to Z, being in a silo, not being in a community, not being able to interact and get your thoughts out and see people at least through the camera, that hinders the impact of the training. So that's one thing. That's a trend I see, and that's also where I see we're having success in our product.
I think you're absolutely right. I think we've learned quite a bit going through the pandemic. The pandemic forced a lot of legacy dinosaurs to do the pivot that those of us who've already leaned into technology demanded. It just had to happen. But the pendulum may have swung a bit too far.
Too far.
Not even a bit. Let me edit. It swung too far. Now we have the opportunity, knowing what we know now, to build a better version of both and something new. It does make me think of, I meant to say it a bit earlier, but we're coming to the end, and I want to make sure we have enough time for you to tell listeners how they can learn more about you, Yellowtail Tech, and if they wanted to get started today, what they would do. My final comment is just thinking about, when I think about the future of work, I did this talk about the difference, and I didn't coin this phrase, but I certainly use it, the difference between blue collar and white collar. Now we have new collar, this idea of a skilled professional and what that looks like. And it sounds like you are training the next wave of skilled professionals to really make a difference, particularly if you're empowering those who may not have found their way but through you, because you represent where they want to be. So if somebody is ready again and they want to learn more about you, I certainly will include links in the show notes, but it's best if you tell them, and I'll follow up.
It's actually very easy. If you go online, you type yellowtail.tech. We are there on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. It's always yellowtail.tech. We are always enrolling for the next cohort, and we're ready to train the next generation, because not only retraining, but training people to transition into this industry is the only way for us to bridge that gap, because there are literally thousands of jobs going unfilled. So there's a great opportunity for us to train up more people and give them access to those jobs.
Outstanding. I appreciate you very much, and what you have done, are doing, and will continue to do to reshape and make a more inclusive future in the future of work. You're empowering individuals, but you're also changing families and lives that will have a ripple effect in terms of community building. So I applaud you and your wife and your team, and I look forward to staying in touch to see. I feel like we need a check-in. We just need a check-in. I'll let you know if something disastrous happened and I need a 7th job. I think I'm good right now, but I am a lifelong learner, highly motivated. I think my law school will have something to say about it, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yes, thank you for having me, Tom.
Thank you so much for listening to the Tech Intersect podcast. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you love it, please tell the world. If not, go ahead and tell me. And in either case, drop a comment or ping me on social media at IPProfEvans with the hashtag TechIntersect. And finally, a quick reminder on digital safety. There are a lot of scammers out there impersonating me and others, and I need your help. Now hear this, and remember, I will never slide into your DMs to say peace and blessings or hey, and I will never reach out to solicit your time or your money on social media like ever. I'm not a trader. I am an educator and an attorney licensed in 4 states. Thank you very much. I'm here to inform, inspire, and empower. No cap, and definitely no Forex. So be careful, make good choices, and remember, I developed an entire free masterclass about the topic of digital safety in the crypto space. So check out secureyourcryptobag.com for more information. That's secureyourcryptobag.com. All right, that's all for this episode. Until next time, continue to shine.